If you're interested in health and healing or finding a way out of burnout, there's something here I want to show you. Now, there's a lot of tools out there online for managing trauma and stress and anxiety and burnout and all these things. And I'm a fan of these tools. They're very important and they're very useful. And you're going to hear me say that in most of my clips. However, I'm always interested in the missing elements, the missing piece. And when I created the IGNIA approach to dealing with things like trauma, burnout, anxiety, and toxic stress, I discovered after quite a bit of research and decades of experience that very often one of the key missing elements is not what tools we have, but the perspective with which we use them, or whether we allow our perspectives to be changed while we use them. Now, I'm doing this recording here on a ferry because when I'm on the ferry, it always reminds me so much of perspective. So, for example, when I'm on the land and I'm looking out at the ocean, so often it looks peaceful, so often it looks desirable until you're out here, and then sometimes it's windy and sometimes it's cold, like today. And other times it's kind of the opposite. Sometimes I'm out on land and looking out at the ocean, and I'm assuming that it's cold. I'm assuming that it's rough. I'm assuming that it's windy. Sometimes you get out in the middle of the ocean, and it's none of those things. So we're constantly influenced by where we stand, what we're looking at, and our relationship to that. So imagine that I'm stressing about my work or my relationship or parenting or my health, and I pick up some kind of a behavioral modification tool or some kind of a somatic emotional management tool. That's great. I can calm down in the moment. But if the moment I calm down, I step back into the same perception that I'm a victim, or that this situation is hopeless, or that these people are out to get me, or that this is never going to change, well, then the tools are really just short-lived symptomatic treatments. We've got to treat perspective. Perspective is one of the most vital things we need to treat. And here on the boat, there's so much to learn about perspective. In fact, you can't quite see, but across the way there, we see these beautiful snow-capped mountains. And I'm often reminded of the analogy of the mouse and the eagle and the star. And I think about at the foot of that mountain somewhere in a forest, there's a mouse. And all it sees across this great ocean in the shadow of that great mountain are seeds and sticks and blades of grass. And that's its world, and that mouse is convinced that that is the sum total of the world. And yet there's somewhere above that mouse an eagle that is looking down and curious about the mouse. Maybe that's a little snack. Maybe the mouse is drawing its attention towards a fox or a rabbit. The eagle sees the mountain, the forest, the mouse, the ocean, the salmon in the ocean. And to the eagle, that defines the sum total of its reality. Its perspective determines its choices. But above the mountain, above the eagle, above the clouds, we have the stars. And the stars see the clouds, and the stars see the mountain. Might barely even see the eagle, might not even know that the mouse exists. And in the same way, from that vantage point, if we were to be as a star, we could only evaluate our decisions based on sweeping arcs of time. And days would be like seconds, years would be like minutes. When you're on your healing journey, your perspective is everything, and very often the source of burnout and breakdown. So whatever you're going through, whatever tools you're using, be sure you pay attention to the power of your perspective and how it's shaping and creating and recreating your experience.